Hello friends, this is Durgesh Bailoor, and today I'm going to talk about the dental mental mystery, The Tooth Digs Up the Truth. This is a story based on real life instances in Mangalore, and this is to do with insurance scam in the Mangalore and Dubai region.
I'm going to narrate a small story which tells you about the actual characters about the Tooth Digs Up the Truth. That is the Dental Mental Mystery Volume 1. This Volume 1 constitutes of two stories. The first part of the story is about a dental insurance scam, and this is based on a true occurrence in areas of Mangalore and Kerala. The second part of the story is based on serial killers who have been plaguing India and who have, you know, uh, uh, perplexed the police, the CBI, and half of them were not caught. But in this story, the team catches the crooks due to dental evidence. Now, the three main characters who are involved in the investigation are the doctor himself, who is a forensic odontologist. Basically, it means forensic dentist. The second is the person who represents the Karnataka State Police and posted in Mangalore. She is DSP of Police Seema Samant. And the third character is from Australia. She is a nurse, practicing nurse. Her name is Gloria Smith. Now, the relationship between these three characters is something very uh, intimate because when the story starts, Doctor is taking training in Australia and Gloria Smith is his girlfriend, and they spend a lot of time together. Later on, she he says bye to Gloria Smith, comes to India, and as he starts his job as professor of oral medicine and dentistry, he she he meets the DSP Samant. This DSP Samant is the investigating officer who is trying to establish the identity of a dead body which is found in Kasargod in Kerala. Here, doctor helps her by taking X-rays and by doing the dental analysis of this dead body, which constitutes of a little flesh and a lot of bones, which are radiographed, X-rayed, and then they are studied. The dentist or the investigating dentist establishes that this particular uh, skull which has been obtained and which is purported to be of the dead body actually doesn't belong to the person identified. Now we will come to the next part of the character set. This character set is Mrs. Santoshi Karyappa and Mr. Santosh Karyappa. These people are the couple, these are the criminal couple who think nothing of killing people, burning their bodies, if it makes money for them. So here it is the Santoshi Karyappa who cooks up this very simple and ingenious way of uh, duping the insurance companies. They are in Dubai, and as they are working, they take out a life insurance policy for life insurance policy for both of them, a family life insurance policy. for a sum of 80,000 pounds. And once they take this policy, within 2 to 3 months, the husband comes to Kasargod, India, that is in Kerala, and he stays here for about a month or so. During this time, he makes friends with a laborer who has similar body shape and weight as Santosh Karyappa. And in one of the fateful nights, after he has earned the trust of this laborer, with whom he drinks almost every evening, one of the evenings he slips a sleeping pill in the drink and the laborer collapses. Then he takes this laborer in his car deep into the jungle and he puts a lot of petrol on the laborer and he is in deep sedation when he burns the laborer. As he burns, the car also burns, and Santosh pushes this car over the cliff into a valley. Just where the car is pushed down, he puts down his briefcase, which contains his passport, driving license, to make it appear as if the briefcase fell out from the car. Later on, he goes down to the valley and he checks and confirms that this laborer is dead. He removes his marriage ring and puts it in the hand of the burnt, unrecognizable laborer. And finally, he goes to Mangalore and waits for his wife, Santoshi Karyappa, to come back and collect the death certificate of her so-called husband. And thereby, she puts a claim on the insurance of 80,000 pounds. The insurance company releases only 40,000 pounds and says that pending further investigation, they will release the next. At this time, the insurance company contacts a Dubai investigator. His name is Mohammed Al Kharoshi. Mohammed Al Kharoshi is a Dubai investigator who ultimately tracks down the dental records of Santosh Karyappa and he sends these records to Dr. Durgesh, who is investigating in India. The dead body, which has been actually put in a coffin and it has been exhumed by the police because of the questionable identity. Here, what happens is that the doctor is able to compare the ante-mortem records from Dubai and the post-mortem skull, which is in his hand. And he finds, to his surprise, that they belong to two totally different persons. So this establishes beyond doubt that the person whose dead body the police has exhumed does not belong to Santosh Karyappa. So logically, Santosh Karyappa is still alive. Now, what the police DSP Samant does is she uses her police contacts and traces where this Mrs. Santoshi lives in Mangalore, and then finds out to her surprise that her so-called dead husband has reappeared and is working as a driver to Santoshi, and he drives her car around, and probably in a hidden way, in a secret way, they meet in the flat, even though he shows as if he's staying in a flat. He's staying in a flat uh, in his Grace Apartments in Falnir. And there are a lot of investigations and a lot of police work, and ultimately DSP Seema captures uh, Santosh Karyappa, and then she cajoles him and tells him that he will be forgiven if he tells the truth. And this Santosh Karyappa, who is unexperienced in crime, because he does crime only because his wife constantly pressures him to do crime. Actually, in this story, we understand that the villainess is the main villainess is the Mrs. Santoshi Karyappa, and ultimately he confesses to the murder of the laborer, and he confesses the whole plot to the police. In the meantime, Santoshi Karyappa runs away from her flat and goes to Udupi and hides in a hotel called Kediur, and police is not able to find her. Now, a brief character sketch of this girl, Santoshi Karyappa. She is originally a fisherman's daughter. She is the sixth daughter of a large family of very poor fishermen from Kasargod. She is fairly average student. She is average looker, but she is shocked on her 16th birthday because when her own uncle rapes her, and disgusted, she leaves home and comes to Kasargod and ultimately finds job with Timber International, whose boss Alex Matthew is uh, looking after her and using her services as secretary. In this office, there is another character we are introduced to, and his name is Santosh Karyappa. This Santosh Karyappa is not that very well blessed in his intelligence, but he has got a very good body, which he exercises regularly and eats very healthy food. And he falls in love with Alicia, Alicia Thresiemma. That's her full name. But Alicia Thresiemma obviously is ambitious, and she is sleeping with her boss. And her boss, Alex Matthew, is totally under her control. So ultimately, this Alicia Thresiemma and Alex Matthew, they have an insurance scam in the timber go down. In the timber go down, what they do is this timber is insured for 10 lakh rupees. So previous night they remove all the timber and sell it in the Mangalore market, but they do not show on record that the timber has been removed. And what they do is they burn the go down and they claim the insurance, fire insurance of 10 lakhs. Moment they get the insurance money, this Alex Matthew and Alicia Thresiemma, they run away to Goa and they want to enjoy in Goa. They want to enjoy in Goa. Here again, Alicia Thresiemma spends 2 to 3 days having a continuous party with Alex, her boss, and finally, on one of the fateful days, she gets him totally drunk, and then in a large bathtub, she pushes him and drowns him in the bathtub and kills him. Now she takes all the money which is there in a briefcase and she just catches the bus and randomly gets down at Kumta. Kumta is halfway between uh, Goa and Mangalore. She gets down at Kumta and she just walks and she finds a photography shop, and then she makes friends with the owner of the photography shop, Mr. Moraka, and lives in his house as a paying guest. After some happenings, after some, after she having a surreptitious love affair with this Moraka man, she ultimately calls up to Santosh Karyappa, who is in Kasargod, and she is planning to get married to him so that she gets the respectability of a married woman. And this Santosh Karyappa comes, and then they both get married. And due to help of one of her contacts, they both end up in Dubai. In Dubai, this Alicia Thresiamma and Santosh Karyappa become Santosh and Santoshi Karyappa, Mr. and Mrs. And this is where they take up the insurance policy. Now, this is the approximate story. And what ultimately happens is because of the hacking of Santosh's email, the police are able to trace that she will be coming to a bank in Kumta. And in the final scene, she is captured by the police as she has come to claim her check, the insurance check, which has been mailed from London. The insurance company is cooperating with the police in India. So the second part of the story is about serial killer. This story actually begins with marriage of Dr. Durgesh with DSP Seema, and DSP Seema and Durgesh have a nice honeymoon in Jaipur, and as they are coming back, Seema declares that she is pregnant. Both are on the seventh heaven and they are very happy. But this joy is not to last very long, because during the police uh, action, uh, the DSP Seema falls and she is hit on the abdomen during the fighting, and due to the trauma, she aborts. She, however, recovers, and in this tragedy, she gets a good news that she has been promoted to SP and posted to Bangalore. Now, what happens in this story is that Gloria Smith, the ex girlfriend of Doctor, arrives to Bangalore to visit Doctor and to see different parts of India. Now, here, Doctor in this story has a rip roaring affair with his ex girlfriend as they travel to Taj Mahal and they stay in Agra. Now we will hold this story here. We will come to another character. Her name is Jyoti. Jyoti is a Protestant Christian girl who is very poor, and she is working in a church in Bangalore where she meets another poor boy, and they fall in love and they have an illicit love affair, and finally Jyoti becomes pregnant. When she becomes pregnant, she goes to tell her husband, and unfortunately, on the same day, he is arrested by police and for drug related charges, and he goes into the prison for a long time. Now, Jyoti, who is very ashamed of her pregnancy, that she's about to give birth to a bastard son, she runs away to Mangalore and joins and begins to work in a small church of Father Antonio in Bangalore. Now, she gives birth to this child, and this child is named as Raman. Is abnormal right from childhood. He is introverted, doesn't mix with any children, he fights with everybody, And as he grows up, his lack of discipline becomes more and more overt. Now, Jyoti keeps hitting her son, keeps beating him up for sake of discipline. She beats him till he almost breaks up and cries. And this Raman, from childhood, he kills small animals like cats and dogs, and he does all kinds of very weird things which normally no children do. Ultimately, on his 16th birthday, on a full moon day, what happens is that Raman suddenly loses his balance and something happens to him. He cracks up and, in a fit of psychotic rage, he bites his mother Jyoti and kills her by strangling her. Now, the typical pattern of this Raman is that whomever he kills, he bites on the breast and leaves his bite mark. Now, ultimately, when this crime is being investigated, doctor finds it uh, very convenient to make the impressions of the bite marks on the breasts of all the victims, and then ultimately they are tracked down. And in this tracking down, his wife SP Samant, now she is SP Seema Bailoor, she comes to Bangalore, and Gloria Smith comes from Australia, and three of them put their heads together, and ultimately, with the help of Father Antonio, who is the priest in the Protestant church in Bangalore, they solve this case and they arrest this completely psychotic boy called Raman. Ultimately, his saliva analysis, his dental analysis, his impressions are made, his cast is made, his orthopantomograph radiograph is taken, and all this confirms that the bite marks are ultimately of this person, Raman. He is sent to Bangalore Mental Institution, and in Bangalore Mental Institution, he undergoes treatment. Here, a brief review of different serial killers in India is also done, and the it is tried to establish in this story that the childhood abuse of Raman and his genetic problems to begin with both make him into a psychotic killer ultimately, and ultimately he is arrested, is put in Bangalore Medical Institution, and then he is treated. In the romantic angle, what happens is Gloria Smith has a affair with the doctor. She becomes pregnant, but she doesn't tell the doctor, and she goes off to Australia without telling him. And on this note, this volume one of this dental mental mystery ends.
Over the hills and far from mine, she's waiting for love.